Next, we have Texas A&M. Their over/under is set at 8.5 regular season wins, 8-4 a year ago, 4-4 in conference.
Yeah.
F plus is number 8 team in the country a year ago, number 47 on offense, number 7 on defense, which feels kind of like that was A&M last year.
Yep.
Projected to be number 8 yet again this year, number 36 on offense, number 6 on defense again. Jimbo Fisher entering its 5th season. Definitely a quarterback battle. We know about Haynes King, Max Johnson, and of course the true freshman 5-star Connor Wigman. Reports are either King or Johnson. It'll most likely be one of those two. Looking at sort of the rest of their team, they did lose Isaiah Spiller, their running back, but Devon Achane is probably better, at least more explosive. Yeah. Really good player. Their top receiver, Nia Smith, is back. And calling him a receiver is almost unfair. Like he's an offensive weapon, I guess, is what I would call him. Sounds like the freshman receiver, Evan Stewart, the freshman 5-star, he's pretty much locked up a starting spot. Mm-hmm. And I think they sort of need him to be good immediately. I don't know how many other like great options they have at receiver. There's talent there. There's not much proven talent. And it sounds like they're really counting on Stewart and Smith to sort of be the two. Those have to be the guys. They do have some good tight end options, so you can cover for that a little bit with guys. They lost Jalen Weidemeyer, but they have Max Wright, the senior who's kind of done his time, and they're excited about what he's doing. They have Jake Johnson, who I believe is the number 1 tight end in the country as a freshman. Mm-hmm. So there's options there. There's a few other really highly ranked freshmen as well that are coming in at tight end. So you can work around not having tons of proven depth at receiver with some of that. But you still kind of need those two receivers to they need to be hits. Now we know Nia Smith is one. You need Evan Stewart to be the real deal right away. The offensive line should still be good. They lost some guys, but I think that there's still plenty of talent there. So yeah, okay. So that's the offense. What do you think? Like this was the number 47 offense in the country last year. Shouldn't it be better than that? Shouldn't this be a top 15 offense based on the personnel?
No doubt. The talent they have there is much better than their production last year. Like the production and talent did not match up. You mentioned Achane being there. That guy, like he has a lot of just pure speed.
Yes.
Like just even out of the backfield. Like I think there's so many more ways that they can get him involved. I think he's a real matchup problem for people. I don't think he wasn't used enough, at least not for my taste. Like when you have an offense that you're top 50, like ish, like you're right in that 50 range, it feels like they had, there's a lot of just bullets left in the gun almost with Jimbo's offense there, and that it never clicked. It was never smooth. And maybe you call that like quarterback issues. Like they did have quarterback change last year, but who do you think is the favorite right now? I would be leaning Haynes King. I think Max Johnson would do a really good job in that offense. I would be rooting for Max Johnson. I don't think I think it's Haynes King's to lose. I would be very surprised if it's anyone other than him. But like Evan Stewart, we saw him play in the spring game, the 5-star receiver that came in. Stud. Mm-hmm. He is an absolute stud. With the limited amount that we've seen him. Nia Smith, he was arrested. Those charges got dropped. He should be fine for the year. Like they have all the tools. Like they have all the tools to have a top 10 offense. And I'm just curious about the quarterback situation. I think that's for me what was holding them back last year. Mm-hmm. And I'm just kind of curious to see how it goes for them the start of this year as well.
So obviously Zach Calzada ended up being their quarterback most of last season, and he transferred to Auburn, and it sounds like he's probably going to lose that job.
Yeah.
To TJ Finley. So that does maybe lend some credence to the idea that with Haynes King or just better quarterback play a year ago, like they would have been better than their 8-4 record, and that there's a good chance that they could be a legitimate 10 or 11 win team this year. And I'm probably with you. Haynes King is probably the favorite. I've also heard some whispers that some of the players like Max Johnson.
Sure.
But I do think regardless of whoever wins the job, and we've mentioned this with some other teams this year as well, you're going to get better quarterback play this year just because it does feel like you have 3 talented solid options. No, we all probably think Connor Wigman is the guy in the future. Can he actually get playing time as a true freshman? Who knows? But regardless, you're going to get better quarterback play. You need to. Like, if you don't, that's a serious problem that feels like it would point towards coaching. We all know, like, Jimbo has a bit of a, I don't know, like it's very frustrating watching his offenses, generally speaking.
It is.
Like, they're constantly snapping the ball with 4 seconds left on the play clock every time. And it feels like when you have the talent advantage, maybe that's a good time to maximize the amount of plays you have. Like, the more plays you have, the more you can stretch that advantage over the vast majority of your opponents. And I don't know, like, if you're a defense playing A&M, it feels like you sort of know what you're getting. Like, there's not a whole lot of surprises coming from the Texas A&M offense. They were really terrible throwing the ball downfield last year. That's going to be a huge key, I think, for whatever quarterback they end up picking, and Anaya Smith, Evan Stewart. Like, they have to make some plays down the field, because I do think they have the talent on the offensive line and at running back. If they are able to force defenses to respect the downfield pass, they're going to be able to run the ball well.
Has Jimbo really had a good offense since Jameis Winston left Tallahassee? Like, there are people out there. There's kind of a school of thought that maybe he's not just an offensive genius. And
right.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if anyone's really called him an offensive genius, but like they've been below average, below par with the talent that he's had there. We can say that, like, for sure. And yeah, so the number at 8.5, in order for them to go 9-3 and hit your over, like, you have to be against that schedule in the toughest division in football. You have to be really confident in their offense. They can't just defense their way to 9-3. I don't think. I think they're going to need a dynamic offense. I think there's going to be a lot of really good teams that they play against that are going to have answers for the defense and be able to put up some points. I think Arkansas can give them trouble. Again, they beat them last year. I think they could do that again. I think Florida could give A&M trouble. Even LSU at the end of the year. There's a lot of difficult teams on this schedule that will probably be able to put up points against your defense. Your offense has to evolve. Have to. Like, for them to really be the top 5 team that they're trying to become with all the money they're spending, this offense has to take a big step. And I think it's this year, or we need massive change in the offensive brain trust, whether it's your offensive coordinator or whatever it is. I think this is the last year that they can continue on this current path if they don't have a severe uptick in offense.
Yeah, so looking at their defense, on the other hand, so they lost Mike Elko to the head coaching job at Duke, replaced him with DJ Durkin, who they pulled from Ole Miss. Their defensive line literally lost pretty much everybody, but is still loaded with young talent. One name I'm looking out for there is Tunmise Adeleye. I don't know. I'm sorry for butchering the name, A&M fans, but you know who I mean. Their linebacker, Edgerrin Cooper, could be a star. Their secondary should be pretty good. Antonio Johnson's kind of a big name there, preseason All-American. Can play nickelback or safety. I'm not sure exactly where he'll play. Probably both. Who knows? And there's talent everywhere else on the defense. They've recruited the position well. We've been talking about their number 1 recruiting class and how great it was and stuff, but they have actually been recruiting at top 7 level in the country for several years now. There's talent everywhere on this team. You mentioned the schedule is tough.
Yes.
I think that one really difficult matchup for them is Ole Miss. Jimbo Fisher has not beaten Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss yet. Now, they only played once because 2 years ago was the COVID year and their game got canceled. But last year, Ole Miss got them. Now, that was at Ole Miss, but it does feel like some of those teams, Ole Miss, Arkansas, some of these teams that actually can score.
Yeah.
If A&M gives up 30 points, can they win those games? Now, going through this roster, I really like this roster.
Of course. How can you not?
I think if they had Jeff Lebby as their offensive coordinator, boom, I would pick them to go 11-1.
Would you actually?
I think I would. I'm going to go 9-3. I'm going to say they go over the 8.5 just because I like the roster that much. But I'm hesitant just because I don't like the offensive system, if you will, or play calling or whatever it is. It doesn't feel like they get what they should get out of their offense. I do think it's going to be better than this year, just because I like almost by default, like the quarterback play will be better. And I think that'll be enough they'll have a top 30 offense, I think, and probably a top 10 defense. To me, that feels like 9-3. So I'm leaning over. I think there's still a year or two away and possibly an offense coordinator change away from actual national title contention.
Yeah, we're kind of talking about a team that's trying to be the second place team in the SEC West. And I think if you go to Arkansas and look at like what they're doing, Arkansas, another team trying to be second place in the SEC West, they have Kendall Briles calling plays and stuff clicks, man. Yards are easy. Like, I'm a Georgia fan. I know like what hard yards look like. Georgia we were the hard yard university for the last 5 years. And it's changing now. Yards are beginning to get easier, but like Arkansas has easy yards. Like, and it's something with the rhythm of an offensive play caller to not trying to be forcing a 5-yard out on a defense that's sitting on it. Like somehow it's an ability to get the defense moving. You're making them move, whether it's pre-snap motion, whatever it is. It's A&M is still in the hard yard stage of life, and yeah, I think it's going to cost them a couple of times this year. I think Arkansas gets them. I think I've said even earlier on this pod, earlier in the offseason, that I think Arkansas finishes second in the West this next year. I'm a believer in what they're doing. And A&M, despite, I think they're really talented. I think they lose to Arkansas. I do think they lose to Alabama. I don't think you go to Tuscaloosa and beat them. Yeah,
we haven't even gone down that road yet.
No, that's going to be one of the most watched games. It's going to be terrific. Like the whole dust up in the offseason is going to make for incredible TV. But yeah, you're not going to beat Bama twice. I just can't see that happening. And I think they lose to LSU as well.
Spicy.
I'm a believer in LSU this year a little bit. So I think they get to 9 wins. I think the number is right on it. I mean, for me, 8.5 is just all over it. I think there's a little improvement from last year. I think Texas A&M goes 9-3, losses to Alabama, Arkansas, and LSU. So I will go over for the Aggies this year. They don't go 8-4. They do not go 8-4 this year.
Okay. All right.